having me. This is quite an honor and my first big speaking engagement, so bear with me. But many years ago, I had gotten away from painting, but that changed when I had my 4-year-old little boy 4 years ago. I didn't expect that he would inspire me to paint, but I dusted off my brushes, and those first 3 images were the first ones I did for his nursery. And I was in such awe of this little guy that I decided to leave an incredible career at Valley Children's Hospital to be home with my little boy. And during that time, I'm learning to be a new mom and those challenges, but I also found an outlet to just keep painting. And so these are some of the other characters I created along the way, and I just kept painting and eventually started printing them on cards and for nursery art for little kids' bedrooms. I've always been a creator, and as far back as I can remember, I've been drawing, painting into any medium I could find. It just came natural to me, and I was lucky enough to have a family that really nurtured that passion and let me get my hands dirty in anything I was interested in. My grandmother was my biggest influence. She taught me pretty much everything I know about watercolor, which is what all these are. And she still teaches me about watercolor, which is, I'm so fortunate to still have it with me. So 3 years ago, I came across a call for artists for a children's hospital in Ohio, and that's what these images are here that you're seeing. It was a long shot when I submitted my art because they were giving the local artists in the area priority, but somehow I got selected, and 20 pieces later, and they range in sizes from 24 inches wide to 40 inches wide, which I fell in love with painting large scale watercolor. So it's been a really good learning experience, and someday I'll take a trip and go see all my paintings up there. And it was for their theme, Things That Fly, so that's why they're all things in the air. It's where the Wright brothers got started, and so that was their theme throughout the hospital. Let's see, and last time this year, I got a call from Valley Children's Hospital from one of the executive directors. They were starting a book series, and they were looking for an illustrator. It was going to be based on their mascot, George the Giraffe. And at the time, I had interest in getting into picture book illustration, but I didn't really know where to start. So when she called, I was in. It was picture book illustration, and it was for a hospital, an organization that I absolutely adored. So without hesitation, I was definitely in for it. I'm very fortunate that I get to play a big part in the project management side of it, as well as the illustrations. And it turns out there's a lot that goes into producing a picture book. Picture books can be quite magical, and since I've had my son, we have collected tons and tons of picture books, and it's one of my most favorite times of the day is to spend time reading with him. When you break down a picture book, it's really teaching children how to absorb the story and the information visually as well as cognitively. So when I think that as an illustrator, it's kind of thrilling and intimidating that my work could have a huge impact. So when I approach it, I want to be able to really show the emotion, the physical characteristics, the action, and then add all those wonderful little details for the reader and the one that's being read to look for throughout the book. So it's always those little details I want to add in. I'm looking for the surprise, something that would surprise from a child's perspective. And as you can see, here's George in different costumes. And my favorite is him, the Calgary Lion. This is for the book Out and About with George in Stanislaus County, and he gets to go be in a play, Wizard of Oz, so that was one of my favorite ones to draw. But when I start, I take the manuscript and I start building a storyboard. So I start filling in the story and seeing how it lays out, making sure it has flow and interest, and I look at it, from the big picture. I want each page to have interest on its own, but I also want it to allow you to want to turn the page and see what's on the next page. I don't want you to be bored. I want you to be curious. So So these are some more sketches from our George Vincent Splash book. It was the latest one we produced, and it's a story about George being safe in and around the water. It has wonderful lessons for kids with a wonderful story. And then once the illustrations are done, I'll post them on my studio wall and look at it again and see how the flow is, the color consistency. Is George the same color on every page, which is important. And how the kids come out, and what if I want to change anything last minute before it goes off to be photographed, because I don't scan. My stuff I do fairly bigger than the picture book would be printed. So I send it out to a professional photographer, and he'll take all the snapshots. And once that's done, we'll get it to the graphic designer, and he'll put the story together. I guess one of the best parts is that I still get to work with my grandmother and my mom. They're my best critics, and so they're always, I'm like, what do you think here? What am I missing here? Or, and they both have give me great information, and it's nice to be able to work with them on this. Here are the 4 books that we've done in the last year, which is incredible because that doesn't happen in the real publishing world. Usually it takes 2 years to get 1 book published, but we've been able successfully to get them all out. We're very proud of them. And I'm so happy that I still get to be part of the Valley Children's mission in this way. I guess that's it. This is George saying goodbye. Thank you.